Hi everybody, Jonathan Jacques-Belletête here again. I am the Executive Art Director on the Deus Ex franchise, on the Deus Ex universe. And I'm here today, just like last time, to talk to you about the covers of the comics, right? The Deus Ex universe comics, called Children's Crusade, and kind of talk to you about, what went behind the covers, the thought process, the artistic process, kind of the meanings that we put in there, and also talk to you about the amazing artists who have created them and worked really, really hard on them. Super proud of them. So this time around, we'll be talking about issue number 3 and issue number 4. So issue number 3 has the main cover and one alternative cover, and issue number 4 has the main cover and 2 alternative covers, and we'll go through them all. So let's start with issue number 3. Here's its cover. So this one was done by Nicholas Lizotte. Amazing artist, probably the craziest artist of all my dudes, in the sense that this one that he did here, we actually called it the Sistine Chapel number 2, in the sense that this is a freaking fresco, and Nick only had this one because it took him forever. So I had to say, forget about the other ones because you are crazy, basically. This took him almost 2 months to do. It was super worth it. I am deeply in love with this image. Again, this is like we talked a bit about in the previous video for issues number 1 and 2. The covers are very metaphorical. Most of them are, not all of them, but the idea was not necessarily to represent an event, part of the story of the comics, or even specifically something very precise from the games. It was, the artists. I let the guys kind of play around the themes and some of the allegories and the motifs and whatnot. That's exactly what they did. So this one, what it represents, so this would be at the end of human revolution, right? Somehow, after the destruction of Pancha and the whole Pancha event, all the augmented people of the world who went completely crazy and started, rampaging and killing each other, or regular humans as well. So if you remember in Pancha, at the end of human revolution, so the installation, the base, if you want, is this gigantic shaft, right? This big hole in the middle of the ocean. The inside of the cylinder is emptied out. There's no water in it. And then we take that huge, industrial elevator thing to go down to this tube thing, and then we fight Zhao at the end. If you guys have never played Human Revolution, I've spoiled it for you, but it was up to you to play it. So the idea, actually, we wanted, before we made Zhao, once we reached the bottom of that cylinder, was to actually walk at the bottom, right? This half mile, almost like, deserted bottom of the ocean that's been emptied out, right? And we always thought that it'd be maybe 1 or 2 feet of water still, kind of stagnant water there, and walk in it. And this is kind of where this would be at the end of the destruction of the installation. So you can tell that all the bodies are kind of lying in that kind of foot or 2 of stagnant water and whatnot. What's interesting is, first of all, the amount of details that are in there. If you guys spend some time really looking at your cover, there's a whole bunch of little Easter eggs, very interesting little details. And also, the fact that this is kind of metaphorical is also all the people that were in the Pancha installation when Adam went there were the construction workers who worked there, and they were all augmented and all had their the suits that the construction workers wore when they worked there. In here, you can tell there's a whole bunch of people, from all sorts of countries, all slices of society and whatnot, but they're all augmented. So it kind of represents the global impact that the thing had in the world, the Pancha event, right? They're all dead, obviously. That's the whole idea. If you look carefully somewhere, there's a little dog in there. It's really, really. So why is it that, like, when we see dead animals or animals that get hurt, it affects me more than humans? I don't know. But we all have dogs on the team, and we love them very, very much, and that's why we put one. And he's not even augmented. There's like an augmented guy who kicked a dog or something when he went crazy. That's unbelievable. Crazy world. So there's tons of little things, including a dead dog. What's going on with Adam here? That's up to you guys. Is he dead? And the Madonna, right? Kind of like this angelic figure. This, again, does it have anything to do with the Renaissance, the whole cyber Renaissance thing, all the myths and the motifs that we use in the game? Is she saving him? Was he dead and she's bringing him somewhere, or was he about to die and here she is? So it's kind of up to you guys to interpret it as you wish, or as you played the game, because when you that was kind of the whole idea. When you finish Human Revolution, depending on the ending that you chose or what button you pressed on, if you prefer, you can tell that probably something different happens to Adam at the end. So this is kind of like, which one is it, right? It's kind of up to you guys to decide. So anyway, crazy fresco. Nick didn't go blind doing it, but he did go a little crazier than he was. And that's it. Superb work. I want to print it super big and put it somewhere. And we're going to do it with all the covers, actually. But this one has just so many details in it. All right. Alternative cover of issue number 3. So I really like this one because this one is a little more figurative in the sense that it's not very metaphorical or whatnot. But it's also something that never happened, at least from the stories we told, from HR, from the comics, or whatever. In the sense that this is clearly Panchea, sorry, not Panchea. This is clearly Lower Hangsha, right? Shanghai in Human Revolution with the fluff, right? The ceiling and the floor, whatever, the double-decker city. And Adam is like falling or whatnot, and he's like shooting. Who is he shooting at? Why is he falling? We have no idea, and that's why we had so much fun working on these things, because that's kind of the leeway the freedom that we allowed ourselves to have, is not to have all these story constraints or whatever. Obviously all the licenses constraints are there, all the franchise constraints are there, but that's what made it so interesting. So this one is done by Michel Chassaing, another one of our super talented concept artists on the team. And I was, it's more straightforward in terms of messaging, but I really liked the empty space that it leaves that we need to kind of fill up with, fill with our minds. The show don't tell, I guess. It's not as much show don't tell, but as much as like leaving it blank in a little story, that you need to fill. So is that like, could this have been a DLC, right? Like what happened at one point when Adam was in the fluff, right? Just before he went into upper Tai Young Medical or something, like did he meet like a boss that we didn't fight in the game or something, and he actually like, threw him down, and maybe Adam uses Icarus landing or whatnot. It's up to you guys, but super cool. Also when we portrayed Adam in the past with, not, let's say, the combat rifle or an actual heavy rifle or whatnot, just a pistol, was always a 9mm, or 90% at the time was a 9mm pistol. And this one I told Mike, I said, put the revolver, like it's really gonna give it a lot more weight, and it's a weapon that we've rarely shown in the marketing stuff or communication stuff. And it's such an amazing design that Jim Murray did in the back in the days. It's maybe my favorite design of the weapons. So here it is, Michel Chassaing, alternative cover of issue number 3 of Children's Crusade, and Adam is falling off the fluff. We don't know why. Okay. And now, issue number 4. So like I said, issue number 4 has one main cover and 2 alternative covers. We'll get to the alternative ones in a few minutes. First one. Another one, very metaphoric, very allegoric as well. So we have a theme going on here, right? This is, again, something that would be kind of post-Panchea, or something that happened right after Adam blew the station up, or whatever ending you chose. So this one was done by Martin Sabran, another one of our super dope concept artists. He's a matte painter by trade, but also super talented concept artist as well, super precise guy, like all about mechanical design and military stuff, and love the guy. So this one, the idea again, it's kind of like after Adam blew the station, like I said, and Adam is floating in the water. Is he in the ocean, a little far off where the station blew? And is it at night now? Is this like hours? Because if you remember, Panchea was during the day. This looks like it's quite dark. I just actually figured that one out now. Like, this is kind of obviously at night or something, so maybe he's been drifting for quite a while, which is kind of very interesting. Or is he again at the bottom in that shallow water? But I like to think that he's deep. He's in the deep ocean, like, he drifted off, and we see all these hands, all these augmented mechanical hands that are kind of grabbing him. And what was cool is that we asked ourselves while Martin was doing this, are the hands trying to pull him back into the water, or the hands saved him from drowning from the destruction of Panchea? And we decided not to have an answer for that. That's what's cool. It's again, it's kind of up to you, and again, maybe in relation to the ending that you chose once again in Human Revolution. Little anecdote. These hands were really hard to draw in the sense that the perspective and whatnot. Martin needed references. So what we did is I laid down on a little kind of coffee table we have next to where we sit with the concept artists. And all the other concept artists of the franchise, they all kind of laid very low under the table so they wouldn't be in the shot. And they put all their hands over me on my chest to do this, which was a peculiar morning. Nobody woke up that day thinking that they would grab my boobs, or me thinking that my boobs would get grabbed that morning by all these guys I've been working with for years. I guess we had just reached that moment. It just had to be done. I guess we are a lot happier ever since, but a little more uncomfortable as well. So moments of silence now with my guys are just very weird. So there it is. So it ended up but yeah, doing this, having their hands and whatnot worked out like a charm. It was really, really good for Martin, and came out super good. So again, it's up to you guys to figure out or decide what is really happening to Adam. That's the great thing about these covers. So, main cover for issue number 4, made by Martin Sabran. And now we go to alternative cover number 1, or whatever. There's no order for the alternative covers, right? But the first one I'm showing you now. So this one was made by Bruno Gauthier-Leblanc, another veteran on the franchise. I mean, he does it all. Bruno, he's with all the visual pillars that we have in the franchise. Whatever, I can just send him on like missions for whatever. It could be environments, characters, weapons, grungy stuff or super high design stuff, fashion, crazy architecture, graphic design, does it all. So here the idea, again, it's a lot more figurative. It's not as abstract or as like the allegories of the other ones, right? The metaphors. So this just very, very much represents a state of the world of mankind divided. So you can see Adam, he's lying on these kind of, retro lit, panels like plexiglass or whatnot. And you can see All Lives Matter graffitis. Sorry guys, this is just after lunch. So, graffiti on those panels. It's interesting that it's obviously very urban. We can see that, people are passing by. And this was cool because the hand of this passerby, we asked ourselves, is this passerby augmented or not, right? Because we're obviously in this image talking about the politics of mankind divided and the apartheid and whatnot, the mechanical apartheid. And we said, you know what, let's make sure that it's really, really blurred with the movement, right? The motion blur, because then it's up to, again, the viewer to decide, is he in an augmented ghetto, where obviously there's graffitis of All Lives Matter, or is he in a regular human, where the fleshy people part of town, where actually augmented people kind of sneaked in and wrote their graffitis all over the place. So that's why I wanted to make sure that the hand was really blurred out and we couldn't tell. So Adam's there, Adam is neutral. That's what he is in this whole debate. That's the whole idea. Adam is not pro augmentation. He's not against augmentation. I mean, it was augmented against his own will, but we've always said it doesn't mean that he was against augmentations. It was just probably not the time he would have chose to get them or whatnot. So Adam is a vessel for the player to make up his mind about I guess what side you would take of the debate, and this is a bit kind of what this represents. There's the graffitis, there's the people walking around. We don't know exactly who these people are, but he's there lighting up a cigarette. And at the same time, it's a very kind of a quintessential cyberpunk image, right? It's very film noir, very, I won't say the name because then I'm going to cut it. I'm not going to say the movie's name, but whatever. You can figure it out yourself. You know what I'm talking about. He looks like a certain detective, right, in a certain movie from like 1982 or something, where he has to find those robot people. Yeah, that was the whole idea, somehow. So yeah, there we go. So main cover, alternative cover number 1, it's called this way, for issue number 4 of Children's Crusade, made by Bruno Gauthier-Leblanc. And the second alternative cover for issue number 4, there we go. So this one is made by Frederick Bennett, crazy renderer. He's just a magician with brushes, Photoshop brushes, but whatever. That's how we do it today. insane. If you were to zoom on the original work, it almost looks like a real painting. He's just so comfortable with these things. So and again, this one is a lot more figurative, not as many layers of meanings and metaphors as the ones that we've shown before. But that's what we wanted. Some of those. It's a comic book after all. Mm-hmm. So the whole idea is just a great kind of comic booky action pose. We wanted to push it more than what we usually show Adam in. Like he's got we've done a lot of marketing posters or whatnot where he's in crazy action poses, but they're not in those kind of like these really kind of comic book Spider-Man thing. I wouldn't say that he's posed like Spider-Man, but you know what I'm saying. And we wanted to show, or the marketing guys told me that they wanted to make sure that the augmentations were there, and they were absolutely right, because in the things that we had been doing up to this point, the augmentations in the covers weren't really in the forefront, and marketing was 100% right when they said, well, let's make one where the augs are really kind of in the first row, and that's what we did. So he's charging probably what his Icarus dash. And he's got his blade out, so it's probably you can tell like he's been shot here. There's definitely probably an enemy in front of him. You can see he's looking forward. There's a gun in the ground with a hand. So is there still it's probably someone that he took down. Is there still someone standing there? And he's about to dash right into him or anything else. It's up to you really. So this was the idea. Blade out, Icarus dash charging, just a split second before some more action. So Frederick Bennett, second alternative cover of issue number 4 of Deus Ex Universe Children's Crusade comic book. So thank you very much, and I hope you're enjoying them. I hope you're enjoying these little videos about insights and how we do, or how we think about these things, not necessarily how we produce them, but the kind of thought that go behind them. So thank you very much, and see you soon.